Okay, welcome to Change in Man, Chapter 4, Section 2. And what we're looking at today is we're just adding on to some of the concepts that go around with demand. And demand has to do with customers and how customers think. Okay, so remember, a lot of this class is a study of human behavior. And remember, we're not talking about an individual, we're talking about large groups of people. Okay, so some other things to remember when we're looking at products and things like that, and people are different, products are different, and it's amazing to see which things become popular and which things are interesting, and that can change very rapidly. So there's some things we're going to look at a little bit later. And so one of the things that determines, okay, what's the value of this product is something called utility. It's the usefulness of a product. So let's say all my friends watch the same show, the night before, and they're all talking about it the next day at school, and they're all talking about it, but I didn't watch it. So I got nothing to say at that point, and so you're just kind of there. They're talking about it, and that's fine. And maybe I can ask questions or whatever. But if I watch it too, then I get to be a part of that conversation. So in some sense, there's utility to some extent in a show, at least socially. If everybody else is watching it and I am aware of it, then I can at least talk about it also. It's becoming much more difficult in this day and age of so many choices in terms of media and entertainment that we're not necessarily having those water cooler moments, as we call them today. So that's utility, usefulness, product. Now, as we add more of a product, the amount of usefulness of that next product is called marginal utility. So if I have myself a pizza, yummy pizza, and let's just keep it cheese, there's nothing in there, and I go there, and I know how some of you guys are. Boy, you can eat like crazy. Oh man, teenagers can eat. And so we give you a slice of pizza, and for most people, one piece just doesn't do. So if I say, "Would you like another piece?" Most people, not all, would say, "Yeah, I'll take another piece." So they'll eat that second piece up. And then I'll say, "Would you like a third piece?" Well, at that point, a few of those people are going to say, "Nah, no thanks." But a lot, some will say, "Sure, why not?" And then I say, "Do you want another piece?" Notice a smaller and smaller amount of people are going to say yes. Now, there are some of you listening to this. You've eaten a whole pizza, and you know who you are, okay? And so there are some people that eat the whole thing, all right? So, but you need to understand that there's gonna come a point. If you keep eating pizza, you keep eating, you keep eating. If you've ever been to a buffet, you experience this where you eat as much as you want. There's just gonna come a point where you're gonna get full and you just can't eat anymore. And there's no zero marginal utility. If somebody offers you more, you're not gonna want it. In fact, you might feel repulsed by it. Okay, so marginal utility, as time goes on, decreases or diminishes. So that is a concept. It's called diminishing marginal utility. The more units of a product a person buys, the less eager they are to buy more. Okay. All right. So the demand curve slopes downward, but we need to understand the graph that we're looking at only measures two variables: price and quantity demanded. If we change anything, I mean anything other than price, then we have to literally redraw our demand curve, because in essence reality has changed. So friend comes to school, they're wearing really cool shoes. You're like, "Oh my gosh, I gotta get a pair of shoes just like that. Those are just too cool." Well, the the day before, you may not have even be aware of it. But now that you see those, you're now aware of it. If people tell you about a really good restaurant or really good, game or whatever, more people are gonna do it. And it's really interesting. Apple iTunes did an experiment a few years back. They took 3 or 4 songs from some unknown bands, and they just put those songs on their top 10 list. And what they found was many people purchased that and kept purchasing it because people are influenced by other people's tastes. So we just got to understand there is a group behavioral component to our tastes, and we found that out. And you can actually, when you know other people like something, you can be, I don't want to say the word fooled, but you can actually experience more enjoyment of a product if you know that other people are enjoying it too. So there's a certain amount of groupthink that goes in line with purchasing products. And some products they just are the same a year after year. And other products, boy, fashion, it's a great example, is always changing. Music is always changing. There's some things that will continue to be popular, but in terms of height of popularity, so when you think of the Beatles or the Rolling Stones or, U2 or, just a lot of bands that have been around for a long time, those bands are still popular, but they all did have a height of popularity, and that popularity has come down some over the years. Okay, so that's this concept, and so we just got to understand some things can change. If a company comes up with a really good advertising campaign, that can increase the amount of purchasing people do. If all of a sudden the news is talking about something, bad press or bad things in the news. Wendy's had that thing a couple of years ago where, I don't know, some guy got a hold of a finger and he stuck it in the chili. And remember, he pretended, oh, there's a finger in my chili. Then he was going to sue Wendy's for all this money. Well, they found out that he'd stuck it in there. So this guy's in a whole bunch of trouble. And so that's bad press because even though it was found out that Chili's wasn't at fault, a lot of people were really grossed out about this idea of a finger in chili, so they just didn't want to go to Wendy's, and so Wendy's experienced a significant drop in sales due to bad press. So that's something to be aware of. Complementary product is a product that goes with another product. So we think of milk and cereal. And I know some people choose to eat their cereal without milk or milk without cereal, but they just go well together. And if the price, what we're talking about is the total cost of experiencing a bowl of cereal. So if the price of milk becomes super expensive, then cereal sales will come down, and we have to pay attention to that. So as complementary product price goes up, then purchasing will go down for all of the other complementary products. A substitute product is a product people can exchange. So for instance, we have 2 quads here, Yamaha and Honda. I know there's differences for those of you that really love to get out in the dunes and things like that, but if suddenly one of them became super expensive, you would just switch over to the other product. We do this with foods and things like that, clothes. We'll just switch over to a product that is similar. That's a substitute product. Okay, so these are substitutes. Okay, and then finally, our economy has dips and rises and things like that, and so there are times when people buy more products because they feel like they're doing better economically, and so that's one of those things where, they'll purchase more when they feel like they're doing better. Okay, Oprah Winfrey. Can she cause a change in demand? A few years ago, Oprah had a show where she gave away some cars. And Oprah is really well known. She's had a lot of success And I think that was the idea. If she's going to give a chunk of her show to do a giveaway, that's going to have some effect. So the question was, what would be the effect for giving away these cars? At the time, it was the Pontiac G6, and so the assumption is it will increase demand. And the idea is we're not talking about a change in quantity demand because that's just the price change. Oprah is literally going to change the reality for the G6. So, prior to the giveaway, this is what the demand curve might have looked like for the G6. And after the giveaway, we can see the curve shifts to the right. This is an increase in demand. That's the way we say that. An increase in demand because people see the car. She gives all this time to the car. It excites everybody. There was a lot of talk about, oh my gosh, Oprah gave all these cars away and it was really cool and all that. Well, again, what we can do is we can measure the difference, and we can see, okay, Oprah literally had, at a certain price point, we can say at the $20,000 price point, she had a 2,000, literally 2,000 more cars were sold because of Oprah. So sometimes companies will track purchasing of products to events, and they'll try to make connections to what happens in their sales. And so General Motors, just a little detail, General Motors gave the cars away, not Oprah, but she did give away about half of her show. So that's pretty, that's a lot of money that she put into it. And so it was mutually beneficial for Oprah as well as GM. And so all of a sudden, people were very, very interested in the Pontiac G6 just because Oprah showed it and she highlighted it and made a big thing about giving away cars to people who needed a car. And so that it was kind of a stacked deck kind of show where people in need got the car. Well, something happened. All of a sudden, people realize, oh my gosh, there's laws regarding this. This car is worth a certain amount of money, and if you're given it something that's worth this much, you have to pay taxes on it. The government wants, so they told him he either pay up $7,000 for the tax. Car's worth more than 7,000, so you could sell the car and then pay your tax and then keep the difference. I mean, that's one option. We could just give up the car altogether, and that's another option, or we could just pay the tax and keep the car. So that came out, and people were kind of upset that, oh my gosh, Oprah, what happened? All these people are going to pay money. And then all the bad press came out about this car. There was a recall multiple times for this car. Just poor quality, and Pontiac's pretty well known for producing poor quality cars. And so the Pontiac G6 sales dropped dramatically. And so the bad press is, basically the bad reviews and then people talking about it. And so after we see a decrease in demand, if all of a sudden word gets out that this product is not very good, you might have an initial bump in purchasing, but then now we have a decrease. So that's how we say it. There's been a decrease in demand for the Pontiac G6. And that is the law of demand and changing demands.